Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. And today we've got a pretty important update for you as we are sort of continuing our celebration of Waco's 175th. We kind of moved into the next year, but there is a Waco time capsule that is underway, and we've got Bobby Horner, who is the chairman of the Waco Time Capsule Committee. We've got the wonderful Calvin Smith here with us, who is with the Helen Taylor Museum of Waco and McLennan County History.
That's correct.
Jeff Arresty, who is the founding board member, person, brains behind the Jacob Day Cordova Society and the Youth Innovation Studio. And so we're kind of bringing all these different elements together for you as we're having a lot of exciting things happen in anticipation of the Waco Time Capsule, the wonderful museum kind of reboot, and just as we continue to celebrate, right, Jeff?
It's an incredible opportunity with the museum having such an storied history. And Helen Marie Taylor was an amazing lady, and she left wonderful artifacts and a museum structure that could tell Waco's story, McLennan County's story over the course of time. And with the opportunity to have Calvin Smith come into the picture, we had the chance to say, all right, well, how do we take advantage of retelling the story? And the answer was, well, let's get to the youth. Let's have the youth hear the story, but then tell it using the words and the technology that they know how to use. And so that's sort of the conception of the idea.
And so, Calvin, you're founding chair of the Department of Museum Studies at Baylor. Of course, we go back even further, and you kind of did all the all the work on the Mammoth site when they were first discovered back in the late 70s.
And yeah, not quite first. They were found in 1978, and I came to Waco in 1960, 68, I think, and that's when I started working with the Dr. Pepper Museum.
Right.
And then Bryce Brown, my predecessor at Baylor, retired and recommended me to come on as director of the Strecker Museum, which became the now Mayburn Museum.
Yeah. And a little aside, now the Waco Mammoth National Monument is 10 years old.
Yes, it's hard to
pretty
believe.
Exciting.
We spent 18 years excavating the site.
Yeah.
And then with the help of Chet Edwards, I testified in a congressional hearing to get the process started to become a national monument.
Yeah. Well, and of course, this is just part of the timeline that you're looking at, Bobby, to try to figure out what do we refine down into, put in a time capsule, that the plan is for it to be buried at the Taylor Museum in July of 26.
Next year.
In order to kind of commemorate the 250th and all that kind of thing, which is wonderful. But it's a little bit of a short-term time capsule in that it's to be opened on Waco's 200th anniversary.
Right. 25 years. Yeah, that's short as far as a time capsule is concerned, but we thought, well, let's do something on Waco's 200th anniversary. And so that's what we're shooting for. And we're, of course, when you look at 175 years of history, then the question is, what do you put in a time capsule?
Really?
There's so much stuff here in Waco, so much history. So the neat thing about the three of us working together is we've got three separate projects. The time capsule is part of that, Youth Innovation Studio, and then Taylor Museum. But we're all intertwined, and we're working and supporting each other, and that's the cool thing. And so, as Jeff said, if we can get the youth involved with their technology skills that they seem to have, way beyond me, to help us tell these stories, plus have fun doing it, I think that's going to be great for them and a possible career path somewhere down the road, and it's helping us with telling stories.
Oh, absolutely. Now, Calvin, you've got something planned with students coming up, right?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
I don't know how many years I've done this, but almost the whole time I was at Baylor. I did a summer field school, archaeological field school. And some of those young people went on to become professional archaeologists. So that's my legacy.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah. But we'll be doing a field school on the grounds of the museum starting on the 16th of this month through the 20th, 5 days. And we already have a kind of a heads up. Catherine Turner Pearson has already done a shovel survey, and I've never heard of this. I'd never encountered it. Every shovel came up with artifacts.
Did it really?
Yes.
Well, that could be good or bad.
Well, it's real good from a historical standpoint. It is a nightmare from an archaeologist standpoint.
Yeah.
But no.
Well, and for opening up a museum that needs parking lot.
Yes, that's
There's
exactly
that,
right.
too.
No, we through that first process, they found trade beads, and trade beads primarily for this area, this region, came through the French from the late 1700s through the early 1800s.
Really?
And there's a site north of here that is called the Stone Site, and we know of one cache of trade beads, 12,000 trade beads in one location, and that goes back to Des and I know I'm not pronouncing that right, I admit, but he was a French trader, and he came through here in 1772 and then again in 1792, and he had a horse wreck the second time, and he stayed in that village for about 3 months.
And this, how close to Waco proper? Or is this a closely guarded secret?
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah.
It's north of Waco.
Okay. I got you.
but-
And how does something like that, how is that found?
An avocational archaeologist went over to. He had already found a lot of material on his side of the river. He owned a place over there, so he went over there to just check it out, and he dug right down on top of that cache of
Oh, my
trade
goodness.
beads. And so some of the trade beads that we have at the museum, where the museum is located, may be directly associated to Des Ameris, the stone site.
So do they know, was that just buried there because that was an encampment where Native Americans were, or what?
No, I think it was part of, they gave him a grass house to stay in.
Okay.
And we're pretty sure now that was his grass house, and he buried that cat.
Okay.
Now that's a lot of speculation, but in this effort, we do have the opportunity to look at closeness. The Waco villages, Waiko, actually existed for about 25 years in each location, and then outstripped their.
So they
close
moved around
environment.
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So this site that we're on, as far as the museum is concerned, was probably in the hard to say, but they were there when the Anglo-Europeans encountered them in 1824. So what we're saying is that maybe the stone site moved to this location, and it was known for the spring that's there.
That's Barron Springs.
That's what it's called now.
Right, that was
Yeah.
Barron Springs Elementary School is
That's
really
right, exactly.
where the museum is located.
And the opportunity, and this is a very good one, is that the spring is still flowing. What is they're talking about in the future planning of downtown is to open up part of that is Barron Creek.
Right.
And so we got to take care of that spring for them to be able to have a river walk. But during the early first stages of contact, the water was described as being the coldest that they'd ever drank. In fact, that all they needed was the makings of a toddy, and it would be.
Hey, I think Jacob de Cordova talked about that, right? Something about that.
But it
Yeah.
is an extraordinary opportunity to. The city owns the property from Waco Drive down 6th Street, and then Mrs. Taylor, when she purchased the property, she goes to the spring. And so, with a community effort, we can make that a neighborhood park. There are 3 native pecans there that are almost 100 feet tall.
Yeah, so they're hundreds of years old.
Yes.
Yeah. It is fascinating stuff. And I know, Bobby, you have just recently gone on the board of the Taylor Museum. Let's talk a little bit about that, because I know there's a push, to get people to become members and to actually demonstrate that there is local support for this
That's
museum.
right. We have Mrs. Taylor left a trust to take care of the museum, but it's at this point in time, it's just operational expenses. So we still have that challenge to finish what she envisioned, where all the posters sticking up and an unfinished look. So that will be our goal. And of course, it's an older building. We have a lot to do: asbestos abatement and HVAC for collections, etc. So we're trying to raise awareness of what we're doing primarily. And then for those that can and would like to contribute to the effort, we could sure use some help, because the trust is incredible. In my 60 years now of working with museums, this is the first time I've had a guaranteed trust, coming in, operations money.
Yeah.
But then we still have to raise the money.
There's still a need to continue to raise money. Yeah, but the educational aspect of this is so incredible, and just the preservation of Waco's history all in one location. It is currently not open, though.
No,
right?
no, it'll take us a couple of years to get open.
So it's a little bit of an ask to please join something that's not open yet, but I think it can be done.
Yeah, and that's what's the cool thing about the three of us working together, and Jeff can explain more about it here in a minute. But what we're trying to do with the Youth Innovation Studio is support each other. And yes, the museum is not open yet, but we feel like through the Youth Innovation Studio and getting the word out that students are going to be involved helping this, we think that's going to really catch people's attention. And they're going to be involved not only with storytelling, but the digital media side of things like you're doing right here, introducing these students to this, and we're three. There's others that involve, like Texas Music Cafe and others that have expressed interest.
Well,
And so,
Triple Win.
Yeah, Triple Win. Yes,
Corey
yeah,
Dickman
that's right.
has become a part of this as well. In fact, we're planning to go and take a tour of Triple Win
Yes.
after this. And so, Jeff, your passion, though, more is to get young people trained, to get them involved, to learn the history, number one, and become more expert at the newfangled technology and stuff that they seem to be gifted with. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about what's planned for that for the kiddos.
Well, the opportunity comes because with the renovations that are taking place and the museum being closed, there's a need to invite the community in, and the only way to do that is to put material online. If you're going to put material and stories online, well then, what are the stories that you're going to do, and how are you going to tell it? And how do you get the kids excited about being the ones to tell the story and get interested in it? So we followed our path. Initially started working with Ken Rogers from Hutto, Texas, who had taught for 17 years at the McLennan High School, the McCallum High School in Austin, Texas, the film program. So,
And some of his students have gone on to become filmmakers in Hollywood. I mean, he's gifted in that area, truly.
and so we had the opportunity to do a film on Jacob de Cordova, which he said he would do with the latest animation, the Unreal Imagination software, and a lot of young people got very interested. Some of his former students worked on some of the editing and so forth. The opportunity then developed when I met with Joshua Merwin, who you'll get a chance to meet with a little bit later today, who runs a program called Dream Big Books, where he works with young people of all ages to write the story that would then be told in the schools. And that is something that Creative Waco and other folks in the city have said, we want to tell a story starting at the earliest ages. Well, that gives us the opportunity to take this movie that we've done and reinvent it in a dream book which Joshua will lead as part of the work product this summer. So we have the camp that Calvin is doing. We have, at the same time, in alternating weeks, we'll be working on a Dream Big book that the kids will be writing, getting credits for. And then you'll have material that not only will be in physical form for the folks that want a physical book, but it'll also be online where we'll be able to incorporate clips from the movie and so forth. Ultimately, the kids will be able to then look at other stories because the time capsule then fits into this. Since we're not just telling a story about the first few years of the current history of Waco once Texas became a state, we're going back in time. We're going to have lots of stories to tell. But in figuring out which stories to tell, that became an interesting challenge. And you were part of this discussion last year when all of a sudden we got an angle on, well, what if we looked at the stories through the women of Waco? Mm-hmm. And there was a teacher at Baylor who had written a book on the spirited women of Waco, and that's how we got started, telling those stories.
Yeah.
And there are so many great stories to tell there. There's only a short period of time between now and next year. So we're going to have to think about how we're going to do that. Then one young lady came in and suggested, well, you've got a 25-year timeline, which is really short for time capsules. Why not make this sort of an annual Waco History Day on March 1, and each year you would unveil something that could become, a story to tell, and then finally you'll get to the 25th year and you'll open the time capsule. And, but you'll create excitement year by year by year so that each group of young people, as they're going through the program in the Youth Innovation Studio, will not only learn skills, but they'll also be working to tell stories of Waco's history and keep the museum alive. And of course, we're doing this with the idea that we want to build it in a sustainable way. So we've created a program for the Youth Innovation Studio called the Do Good Club, which allows people from Waco and anywhere who are interested in supporting the growth of this studio on an ongoing basis. Because the real significant thing here is that museums, and there are several, 15 or more.
Oh, Waco is really blessed with amazing gems. Yeah.
So you have story after story after story that could be told in this new way. You just need to get it started. So Waco literally can put young people into the scheme of learning skills, building a digital portfolio that they can show online, get work that we can help them with, and get internships for them. The summer program is all internship based. So the young kids will not only learn, but they'll also get paid while they're learning.
That's amazing.
And and then there'll be more work down the road for the ones who want to continue and have learned the skills. So we're fingers crossed.
Oh, it's all very exciting. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we want to hear more about kind of the timeline, Calvin, of what you're looking at and kind of proposed for us to look at for the time capsule. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Mom and Dad can be a little competitive. They get all, yeah, buddy, and heck yeah. Lucky for them, Main Event has over 85 games and activities to play together, so they can get rematch after rematch after rematch. So do something awesome together.
Be the best parent to the best S-Pup. For Kitty, we decode more than 100,000 data points, so you know what makes them walk, talk, and act like only they can. We provide the best care and make smart health decisions, now and forever. Plan better, care smarter, love longer. Wisdom Panel, the world's leading pet DNA service.
If I've learned anything in the last year, it's that to show up as my best, I need to make intentional choices. And that goes back to the absolute basics. Number one, it's I have to move. And number two, to stay hydrated.
I have been using molecular hydrogen from Water and Wellness to support my health and well-being. It helps with energy, recovery, liver health, and more. The hydrogen has been a game-changing addition to my own wellness routine. The tablets dissolve into my water and deliver powerful minerals to help my body feel its best all day long.
Explore unforgettable experiences with Forest Travel. Experience the pinnacle of luxury travel with our exclusive global selection. From secluded villas to elegant train voyages, each moment is tailored for sophisticated exploration. As one of the most renowned and awarded travel agencies in the world, we are pleased to elevate your next journey to an entirely new level. Your extraordinary journey begins now. Forest Travel.
And we're back with Bobby Horner, Calvin Smith, Jeff Arresty, this is a group that is part of what started out as the the Jacob Day Cordova Society for the 175th anniversary recognition of the city of Waco. And then it grew into this, well, let's do a time capsule. So Bobby's taking the bull by the horns and taking that. And Calvin, you just literally know where the bodies are buried. I mean, we have from mammoth bones to you name it. But you've kind of come up with a sort of a sketch for us. And full disclosure, I'm on this committee too, just so it's out there. But of what to look at and what we need to think about putting in a time capsule.
Yes. I've been a part of a couple. One is still locked into a monument now. But and I found one. We were moving the monument, clearing off the mortar of the third block. It was 65 feet tall.
Oh my goodness!
And so I heard something hollering, went down, and sure enough, there was a time capsule, and it was done in 1941. And no one knew where it was. I mean, everybody knew there was a time capsule.
Well, see, that's what you don't want to bury a time capsule and have everybody forget.
That's right. So what we did was make an exhibit out of what was in there and talk about the history of, it was Spindletop Historical Monument.
Yeah, right.
And so we did that, and then we put in our own time capsule at that point. And the objective was not to repeat what had already been done, because that's now in an exhibit, but it was just after the bicentennial. And so we had a lot of material, too much.
Yeah.
So we really had to be selective because it was in a small container. But it was exciting because people got involved with it. You know, here's something I would like to put in, or here's an idea. And so that's where we are now. There are a lot of things that, from my perspective, need to be in an exhibit in the museum.
Right.
But there are also items that are important to this period of time and trying to project what will be of interest in the future. So that's where we are. We're trying to select that material.
Yeah, and there is a lot to choose from when you're looking at the history of Waco.
Yeah, it was kind of funny when we first started playing around or brainstorming, okay, what kind of stories might be out there? And we got talking about just Waco's monikers, like Athens on the Brazos, Geyser City, Six Shooter Junction.
Yeah.
And of course, right up the highway, you've got the Crash at Crush. I mean, they're just,
yes.
and the stories just started to come out. And the stories that you've done on the Spirited Women of Waco, and it just started to come out. The potential, KWTX history here, and it's just starting to snowball now. So I think we're going to have plenty of things to talk about and select from.
Yeah, you mentioned KWTX, and I had the chance to interview Mike Braun, who's done just an amazing history about the very first KWTX AM radio station, which is now where the Texas Music Cafe is located on 6th Street. But maybe there's a plan to renew that whole area into a 1950s vintage radio station?
That is a goal that Chris Ermoyan there at Texas Music Cafe have talked to us about. He would love to do something like that, because just a few months ago, Jeff and I had a chance to be with the Chamber's lead program, and some kids came over and actually in about 2 hours' time did a quick little radio talk show. and just using some of these skills. Some were working the camera, some were the talk show host, some were working on production, but it was giving them a taste of some things that they might could learn. And so, if you think about it, a vintage radio station, kids could produce their own programs. They could talk, actual events happening now, or go into the archives that Chris has and produce a show or something. So that's another thing that's on our list to work on.
Well, it all just takes money.
Yeah, it does. It does.
So what are kind of the plans right now, and what are we looking to try to raise some funds to make these things happen?
Well, since the very first project was telling the story of Jacob de Cordova, who was a Sephardic Jew, it turned out that the Texas Jewish Historical Society gave us a grant to get the movie underway. They again are stepping up because they see the opportunity to take that story in the movie and put it into this dream book that Joshua Merwin is working on, using the film that Ken Rogers made. And now what you have is the chance to get multidisciplinary sets of skills of young people. This is not just going to be, oh, do you want to be in the movies? And,
right.
An actor. You've got musicians, you've got computer engineers, you've got young people who would just be interested in being the actors or being able to talk, but to have the ability to teach them how to tell the story and then put it into a book format gives us yet another opportunity on an ongoing basis to showcase to the community, here's how we're using resources of the community, assets that the community has, to put the young kids to work to help a museum that deserves all kinds of support from the community. Literally, as we create membership in the Youth Innovation Studio through this Do Good Club, everybody who joins us is going to become automatically a member of the museum. And so we see that's how we see the collaboration. We're all just doing this together, and now we'll have foundation money, Texas Jewish Historical Society. There will be others that we're talking to here in the city. We had wonderful support from the city and from some of the businesses in the city during Waco 175. Now that we've got our feet, on the ground, we can expand that even further. So between the foundation support and the ongoing membership support, that will be our initial phase forward. To raise the money for a radio station, for a film studio, and so forth, in some of the past work that I've done, it turns out that many of the companies that have equipment that would be used for the radio station or to make films, they were very interested in donating that kind of equipment just to get the recognition. And now people are using those cameras, film equipment, and other. So there'll be sponsorship opportunities for businesses as well to come in, and that'll be our starting point. Initially, the summer camp that we're using, the kickoff of the Youth Innovation Studio is this summer camp in this next few weeks. And Corey Dickman and Triple Win, when they showed up, that just filled in the work that Bobby and I had the opportunity working with the Chamber of Commerce and their lead program and their youth programs to introduce what we were doing to the kids. But Corey has history with the high schools, and once he got excited about what we're doing, that created the opportunity to get us into a startup mode.
Well, and you've been the spark, really, Jeff, to not a native Wacoan yourself, but got here, I think, as quickly as you could.
Here we are.
I know grandkids were a pretty good draw for you, but you really have kind of given us the kickstart to do a lot of these things, and then the collaborations are just amazing to see, wouldn't you say, Calvin?
Yes, for sure. And since Bobby opened the door, I wanted to mention that the museum is bringing a play to Waco in September, The Crash at Crush. And so it should be a lot of fun. And
yeah, I mean, it was kind of a disaster.
It was.
If anybody knows it, tell them the story about the Crash and Crash.
An entrepreneur decided that it would be really exciting if two trains engines ran together at 45 miles an hour. And so
What could go wrong?
exactly. So there were several thousand people paid money to come see that, and so from his standpoint, it worked. But there were several people injured as a result. But it is kind of a comedic look at the event, and I think it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and this is going to be at Lee Lockwood, I believe.
Lockwood, yes, in September, the weekend of the 19th.
19th and 20th.
And we're working with Historic Waco. It's a joint effort.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. Today's show is brought to you by Main Event Entertainment Center. They've got it all. They've got bowling, virtual reality, laser tag, billiards, shuffleboard, and more. And if you mention my name, Ann Harder, when you're booking, you get double arcade play free. And if you book by July 24th, your guest of honor will play free. For your next main event, it's Main Event, 2420 Creekview Drive in Waco, right next to the Cinemark Theaters.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone and then you're gonna use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
At Mapiful, we believe in celebrating your journey, past, present, and future. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence, elevate creativity, and honor what matters most. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mapiful.com and start celebrating your story today.
Hi, I'm Jo from Face Theory. You're going to want to have a specific goal for your skincare routine. What do you want to achieve? Active ingredients are really strong, and if you're using too many at once, your skin can get overwhelmed. Don't overspend on products. Choose products that have scientific research behind them. At Face Theory, if you're not happy with a product, just say so, just give us a shout and we'll give you your money back, no problem.
For 75 years, Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. No gimmicks, just durable, well-designed bottles built to last. Join us in our mission to amplify life, not complicate it. Because at Nalgene, what goes into our bottles matters as much as the adventures they fuel. Explore more at nalgene.com. That's NALGENE.com.
I mean, again, telling these stories, Jeff, you know, it's, they're, you know, some a little bizarre, but there are also some pretty uncomfortable stories. I think of a lynching,
Yes.
In particular.
Yeah, that's right, and we're not going to shy away from that. Our philosophy, the way we're approaching this is, you know, history is history. You can't change it. You got to look at all the good things that happen. You got to be willing to look at the bad things that happen, with the idea that, okay, what can we learn from this? And you know, the lady that I really appreciate, Opal Lee, I believe it was, the grandmother of Juneteenth. She had come to Waco, I believe, 3 years ago. Somebody had asked her about, you know, taking some of these history books out of the schools and stuff, and how she felt about all that. And she said, no, she was educated for 24 years. She said, these kids need to hear this, and they make their own decisions of how they're going to accept it, because history is going to affect people in different ways, you know, and we want to be very respectful on those difficult stories, but just tell people this is what happened, and it's not good. And you know, the lynchings, there was one off the Washington Avenue Bridge too, and that bridge is still here, so it's a reminder. So we wanted to approach it from the educational side of things and be respectful, and let these kids kind of deal with it in their own way and help them through that.
Same thing with the exhibit that we did on the Davidians, Branch Davidians, and Corinthians. The city of Waco came, excuse me, to Museum Association of Waco to make an exhibit that showed that it was not in Waco.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so the Museum Association of Waco asked myself and my students to put the exhibit together. And we opened it a year to the day after the serving of the warrant. And I was asked to do an article for the British Museum's Journal on interpreting recent history in museums. But the high point was one of the students said, let's put up a journal, not just to say you were here, but put down your experiences and feelings.
Oh, yeah, because we all live, well, a lot of us. I mean, I
Look through
reported
that, yeah.
every bit of that. So,
Well,
yeah.
it's now, when we closed, when Ms. Taylor closed the museum, it's 283 pages long.
Yeah,
And it
I don't
includes-
doubt that. That would
it-
be fascinating reading.
We are going to reproduce the original, put the original in the safe, but people can see what others. It included FBI, ATF, sheriffs, marshals, and the local people that were involved. And so it's an incredible piece. In fact, the FBI came down after the Oklahoma City bombing to see if McVeigh
Right.
was part of that. Well, he turned out to be on the back of a pickup looking at the standoff. And of course, his happened the same day.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And they know there was a connection for sure.
Yeah. So that is not just a part of our history, that's part of world history.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think that in looking at this, and we wanted to come up with a theme. And that's, of course, where the lessons of the women of Waco gave us that theme, which is a theme of resilience. So we want this history to be told from the point of view of how do we come back? How do we take the next steps? And especially when you take a look at some of the stories that are here, you can bring the young kids in from the standpoint of answering the question, what do you think Waco will look like in 25 years? And get them really involved. My goal in setting up this project was to build an intergenerational community. That's what I've done in my career, which means that you've got to get different groups talking to each other. And there are some people who are in their 60s and 70s who talk excitingly well to teenagers, and they know how to get things across. Most of us have sort of forgotten those days. But if you get people working on a project together, where there's a dynamic and people need to ask questions and answer questions, then you'll have a 90-year-old and a 20-year-old who, over the course of 3 or 4 months, talking to each other, and the young kid's responsible for telling the story. Well, she needs to ask questions of the 90-year-old, and a relationship builds. To me, that's what we really want out of all of this. And now the lessons of the 90-year-old can be shared with the young person who cares about it, rather than just being talked to. And so the theme of resilience keeps coming up time and again in Waco's history, and that's what, if Waco, in its current version of its message to the world as a city to believe in, we want to give them the reasons why. And that means that we're not afraid to tell the stories, because every place has stories, and we don't have to be associated with one or another, but what we can do is say, ultimately, we always stepped up. Ultimately, we always came back, and here we are again. And this particular version of it, we're trying to lead this community forward as an example of how we can take the latest technologies, which could be so world-changing. A lot of people, and I feel this way too, the newest of the technologies that are out there, we have no idea what the impact will be. Well, for sure, we want the young people who can play with that and be comfortable with that to be the ones that we're working with as we tell stories together and share the history and hopefully some lessons that they can carry forward in their lives as they grow older.
Yeah, where technology is concerned, the last 25 years, I mean, we just think where we've come. What in the world will it look like, with AI and all these? Speaking of AI, the movie actually, My Beautiful Daughter, about Jacob de Cordova, utilized some pretty incredible AI because there are not a lot of pictures or certainly no film from back in the day when he was plotting out the city of Waco, and it just what an amazing way to tell the story.
Well, one of the things that Calvin has asked, since we have both de Cordova and George Erath, who those two together really were responsible for Waco happening. George Erath just knew everything about the area, and de Cordova was putting together all the people and overcoming the obstacles of land title and so forth, and then selling the properties all over the East Coast and even into Manchester, England. So if you put those two together, you can literally recreate what they might have been saying to each other.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting, Calvin. Yeah.
And with AI, you could even have a young person talking to them and asking them questions. So if you think about that from the standpoint of how many different sets of skills are involved there, you've got people who are artists and fashion designers and costume designers. They're drawing all of that up. I mean, in fact, that's one of the people that we got from the McCallum High School area. We've got a young lady who's been through years of programs learning, who's going to come and be part of our summer camp program. And she's a costume designer and a fashion designer, so that's her particular skill set. But then there's the musician on the other side of the room who's making the music for the films. And then there is the artist who is sitting there doing the, helping draw the faces and so forth using the latest technology. It's just the opportunities for Waco to stand out and put these young people to work and essentially get the museums as the central calling card for the community as we move forward into this next realm of AI, because we're using it, and we're using it to tell truth in history. That'll be our gift if we are able to pull it off.
Yeah, and so many other stories that could become movies, from the Texas Rangers to the Waiko Indians. I mean, there's so many different things that you begin to think, oh, that could be an interesting film.
That's right, and with the different, with the Native Americans, the Hispanic Americans, African Americans, the Anglo, there's so many different cultures that we could tap into, and we're already getting contact with people in those areas that could help us pull these stories together. And one thing I found just in my time with history is when you find somebody that has specific ties to that history and they can tell you those behind the scenes stories, that's what really brings it alive. And I mean, the history of this building that we're in right now.
I know, the Alico building.
From an architectural standpoint, but just from the history of the tornado, and it's talking about resilience. I mean, that was the symbol for Waco back in 1953. So there is no telling where all these stories are going to start coming from when people find out what all we're doing.
And one of the things that got me very interested, being Jewish myself, is that I came here and I learned about the Galveston movement, which I never knew anything about. But there was a period of time in the World War I to World War II era where so many Jewish people were escaping Europe because they could see that danger was coming about. But they all ended up at Ellis Island and New York City and the East Coast. And at some point it became clear that, well, we need to have another place for this crowd to come. And Galveston became the place where they came in. And all of a sudden you had, people literally knowing where all the jobs were up and down the center of the country, all the way up to, the northernmost parts of the country. So literally if you said, well, I know how to sew, well, you became a tailor and you were going to Kansas. But those stories, which the Texas Jewish Historical Society has gathered from the Texas point of view, those unusual, because most of these people coming from those parts of the world came from communities. And to the extent that they wanted to land in a country, they would try to reform those communities. But when they came to Galveston, they were literally being split up, 2 or 3 here, 2 or 3 there.
Interesting.
So you have many communities with only a handful where large Jewish communities form, Waco being one of them.
Right.
But generally speaking, they were just small groups of people as they came about. But their stories are all written down, and one of the things that is important to Waco was it wasn't just that De Cordova founded the start of the community with George Erath and the folks here, but then as you got to the early period of the 1870s and the initial village square was set up, half the businesses were set up and run by Jewish people. We've worked with the Sanger family and Joan Sanger in particular, who pointed me in the direction of the women of Waco and so forth. And so there's lots of opportunity to tell some of those stories and get people involved and excited again. Really to come back to Waco, because so many people had left, and that was one of the original motivations I had, was how do you bring people back to such a beautiful place? I mean, you never, if you're coming from the East Coast, you don't really know much about Waco except the handful of things that you hear. But once you're here, you find out so much more. And when you take the boat ride with Bobby on Waco tours.
That's right. You're doing Waco tours, which is
That's
awesome.
something I'm involved with.
Yeah, I know that. If you haven't done the boat tour,
Yeah.
you will see a part of Waco that
Yeah,
you just
that's right.
never knew.
That's right. So,
Yeah.
it's really fun for me personally too to meet all these people that have been coming, not only just from other parts of our country, but literally around the world. With all the things that Chip and Joe have done, have brought a lot of people in. But then you get to meet people. It's really fun to talk with people that are from other parts of the world that have come here, and hear their story, and we tell them some of our story, and in some of those you start. In cases, you start developing friendships that you stay in touch with people. So that's one of the side benefits too of getting to do all this.
Yeah. Well, this is, as I said, an update for everybody about the progress of the Waco Time Capsule and then the different aspects of it. So I suspicion you guys, I hope, will be back as we get a little further along. But honestly, we're welcome to ideas from anyone who's got. So how can someone get in touch to maybe put some input in about the time capsule?
Well, I mean, one of the things too is that as we talk to people, I've got my basic email that I send out, and then programs like this that we're getting the word out, and and the other thing is just listen. I mean, you can listen and learn a lot of things, and I tell people, I said, I don't have a problem being a walking billboard for Waco and stuff and telling people about it. I love doing it, and so I always have a card ready, and then you start finding out people say, hey, I like that. I've got this story that I'd like to tell you about, and so things like that, just basic conversations, and so our websites too would be a good place to contact us.
Yeah, and just reach out here to this show, for that matter. Can point you in the right direction.
That would be youthinnovationstudio.org.
Okay, there is an actual website for that.
The youthinnovationstudio.org website is got all the information on how to participate, and as we create exhibits that will be virtual, they'll be linked to the Taylor Museum website, so that Taylor Museum will continue to grow its website with some of these exhibits and movies as we're going along, so you'll be able to take a virtual tour through the museum. But the starting point would be youthinnovationstudio.org, and then we'll build from there.
Yeah, and an opportunity to join the museum.
Absolutely. And also we're looking for personal items or family-oriented items or even commercial items that help build Waco. And that we have our taylormuseum.org website.
Okay, very good. Thank you guys so much.
you.
Appreciate
Thank
all
you.
that you're doing for Waco and how you've shown such wonderful leadership in this area, and just great, wonderful things ahead.
Escape into fitness with the Schwinn IC4 bike, providing a premium, heart-pumping indoor cycling experience that combines digital connectivity with superior Schwinn quality. The IC4's smooth, quiet ride features magnetic resistance with 100 micro-adjustable resistance levels. Escape the everyday with the Schwinn IC4 bike, your ticket to a life well lived.
Smoke Pub was created by a group of friends who share a passion for great whiskey and cocktails. Frustrated by the lack of easy-to-use cocktail smokers, we set out to design something better. Our goal was simple: make smoking cocktails quick, clean, and fun. After countless experiments, we developed Smoke Pub, the world's first electric cocktail smoker. Join us on this exciting journey and discover the magic of Smoke Pub, where unforgettable cocktails begin.
Waco's history is so rich. It's neat to see how this collaborative project is coming together. When we come back, we'll hear from other important community partners. More of the Ann Harder Show ahead, brought to you by The Main Event.
Let's be honest. The hemp industry can get confusing with acronyms like CBD, CBG, and CBN. What is CBN? I'm glad you asked. While CBN is extracted from the hemp plant, it does not produce any psychoactive effects or high as seen from THC, and is not habit-forming. At Slumber, we designed our entire product line around CBN because of its ability to help you fall asleep and stay asleep naturally. All of our CBN is sourced from Colorado-grown hemp and lab-tested. If you're new to CBN, give one of our sample packs a try. All of our products come with a 30-day guarantee, so you can sleep on it.
I just got my Colgate Advanced LED Whitening Treatment in the mail, and I am very excited to have dramatically whiter teeth in just 10 days. My teeth are going to be 6 shades whiter. The treatment is enamel safe and hassle-free. It's even designed for my sensitive teeth. Let's open it up. Inside we have the blue light whitening device. It's a charger for after each treatment as well. There's a full 10-day supply, and it looks easy to apply. Order yours today at shop.colgate.com.
Hi, my name's Erica, and today I'm going to be taking you through my skincare routine using the Tasmanian Spring Water range from Sand and Sky. This range is really good for dry and dehydrated skin like myself. It's packed with 2 types of hyaluronic acid and fermented sea kelp to reduce redness and irritation, which I experience daily. So that's it. It's so quick and so easy, and my skin feels so dewy and so hydrated.
Hey Waco, we're here live from the Waco in office. We're ready for your Waco weekend with Debbie
and Jenna. We're bringing you all the details for the best events happening June 13th through 15th. Whether you're an art lover, a foodie, a gamer, or a car enthusiast, this Father's Day weekend is packed.
Let's get things rolling with Friday night with a little bit of soul and sound. Reverend Nathan Outlaw is coming live to Texas Music Cafe Friday night, and if you love music, you definitely don't want to miss it.
Then Saturday is busy from sunup to sundown. First, dust off your boots at the Home on the Range at Texas Ranger Museum from 10 to 3. Expect live reenactments, Texas Ranger talks, and a real deal 1800s Ranger camp.
Or you can cruise on over with Waco Ale Co. to their first ever annual car show happening on Saturday starting at 11 a.m. They will be their beginning of their Father's Day celebration, so bring your dad, bring your camera, bring your love for cars, and I'll be there, so come and say hi.
Speaking of love, cat people, dog people, you're both covered. The Mayborn Museum's Cats and Dog exhibit is open now through September. It's interactive, family-friendly, and totally adorable.
And for the art lovers, you need to head over to Art Center Waco for one of their new powerful exhibitions in partnership with a beautiful message. It will be showcasing 15 Texas-based African-American artists celebrating Black hair and heritage, now running through June 26th.
As Saturday continues, it is all about community and celebration. It's the Juneteenth Parade at Heritage Square. Hosted by the Centex African American Chamber of Commerce, this event brings thousands together to reflect, to honor, and to party with purpose.
Continuing the Juneteenth celebration is kicking off the 5th annual Juneteenth on the Brazos, happening at the Baylor Club from 2 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. This will be a moment of unity, fun, and live music. Definitely something you don't want to miss out.
And if you're a fan of all things fandom, the ATG Expo 2025 is happening all weekend long. From gaming to anime, comics, and cosplay, this is your people, your place, and your weekend to geek out.
And for even more ways to explore, shop, and play, don't forget to check out the Waco Downtown Farmers Market, the Farmers Market in China Spring, and Woodway.
Plus, you can always check out The Grackle at wacoan.com for more blogs, features, and our weekly Waco Weekend Wrap-Up every Wednesday.
And don't forget, if you're out and about this weekend, make sure and use our hashtag Waco Weekend to share your adventures.
Enjoy your
Hashtag Waco Weekend.
There's more of the Ann Harder Show ahead. Don't go away.
Revive Superfood Smoothies. Pill, pour, blend, and enjoy. All within the comfort of my own home.
Revive Superfood Smoothies. Peel, blend, and enjoy. Fast and easy, and I'm out the door.
I grew up too fast to have a childhood. Sometimes life don't play fair or by the rules. Put my shoulders back, red hot mad at the cards my dad was dealt. Had to hold it all by myself. Too big for the closet, too heavy for the shelf. You can act like nothing's missing. You can act like nothing's wrong. You can find a broom, try to sweep the truth somewhere it don't belong. Grab a corner, lift it up, but you can't fit that kind of stuff under a 5x7 rug. It was more than just a season, I still struggle. Strive and try to find the words to say. When will good enough be good enough? Will it ever change? I have to remind myself. You can act like nothing's missing. You can act like nothing's wrong. You can find a broom, try to sweep the truth somewhere it don't belong. Grab a corner, lift it up, but you can't fit that kind of stuff under a 5x7 rug. Why do all the hard things stick around and follow us? And who are we to chalk 'em up to dust? You can act like nothing's missing. You can act like nothing's wrong. You can find a broom, try to sweep the truth somewhere it don't belong. Grab a corner, lift it up. You can't fit that kind of stuff under a 5x7 rug. Under a 5x7 rug.
Thanks so much for being with us. Tomorrow, we hear from our friends at the Humane Society of Central Texas in their brand new event, Wolfstock, at the Backyard Bar and Grill, June 21st. And Paul Catalina will be on hand. He'll be emceeing that event, but he'll also bring us the latest on 365 Sports and exciting news for that popular show. Have a great day. Bye-bye.